Okay, so now I'm going to figure out how to fill this figure out. I've got the wire stick figure, but I want to figure out some basic anatomy. Something that fills out the thighs, fills out the torso. The arms are going to basically be lines, but I do want to think a little bit about anatomy and what are the basic forms of the anatomy. I'm going to start by just tracing this figure. Kind of looking from the side, so I don't quite have the exact view of it, but this is going to be close enough. This is just going to be a basic reference for it. Some of the structures I want to look for are, or forms I want to look for, are cones, because that's basically what the thighs are, cones. I like to think of the thighs and a lot of body parts as kind of a chicken leg, because that's basically what our legs are, kind of similar muscles. Another shape, if we take a cone, but flip it and give it another cone and get that kind of hourglass shape, that's what our basic torso is. So on here, I want to put some thighs on there. So I'm going to take this cone, but I want to stretch it out. I want to elongate it. So here's my knee, and I'm going to bring that thick muscle up here. Notice that I'm going towards the inside. Same thing up here. I want to bring that thigh muscle up towards the inside. I don't want to come the outside. There's going to be a little bit more on the outside, but I just don't want to go way out here. Got my head up here, a little egg or spherical form. You can find those shoulders, those, wherever that elbow was, the wrist, and I want to keep it kind of thin and elongated. Okay, so the torso, I can play around a lot with proportion and the type of figure it's going to become, depending on how you play around with that that kind of hourglass shape. So if I want to bring that in and then up to the top, that's all you got to do. And where those two come together are the waist. So a lot of times that here at the waist here, it's going to come on out and just connect right up with the outside of the thigh. If I bring a little V inside of there, I'll have the joint of the thigh into the abdomen. If you want to think about this thing wearing kind of having briefs on there, and that's going to help you with that idea of hills and valleys, that this is a hill, and there's a hill inside of here. But right in between there, I mean, it happens to be a V, right in between there's going to be a valley, so I want to keep those things separate. Something else to think about, a little bit of basic anatomy, is going to be the rib cage inside of there. You know, our ribs protect the lungs. And right now I'm kind of looking at this in 2 dimensions and from the front, but if you kind of think of that as an egg form, and right in between is another mountain, we'll get that belly inside of there. Down below, if I have that chicken leg, the calf muscle kind of swells a little bit in the back. The shin stays nice and flat up straight, that bone in the front, and that calf muscle is out back. I give that a bit of an ankle. We'll talk about kind of feet later on or however that's going to work out. These are just more cylindrical, just long lines as opposed to cones. The forearm of any of the parts of the arm is probably the one that's the most cone-like. But again, this is so long and stretched out, I want to keep them thin. I don't want to build them up. It'd look really odd if it had Incredible Hulk kind of muscles up top and these long stilt-like legs. Okay. Hands, we'll figure out hands later on. Okay, so there's a basic structure now of where I want to go with the aluminum foil to beef this thing up. This just kind of keeps you honest so you don't end up with hips that are out here and your figure shrinks, or a big massive chest. There's no reason why you couldn't do that form of abstraction, but for this one I'm trying to stretch out the figure so it's a nice long line.